And this pregnancy, it was kicking my butt. I started drinking this shake, and honest to goodness, about a week into drinking it, I ran to the pantry and grabbed the bag, turned it around, and I was like, what in the heck am I putting in my body? I felt amazing. So out of all 4 pregnancies, with this being the oldest I had been and my 4th pregnancy, I was finding myself not needing a nap anymore, not having the indigestion and the heartburn and the insomnia and constipation and all that stuff. And I was like, what is this stuff? And so I turned the bag around and I read the label, I read the ingredients, and I was just floored. Like my jaw was hanging, like, no wonder I feel so good. Where has this been all my life? And I have to tell you that at that point, I'd been in the fitness industry for 13 years. And I had people, and we owned a fitness studio, a CrossFit and personal training studio at the time. And so we had people coming to us, you know, those network marketers that want you to rep their product, and they see you as this influential person who can bring their network, their audience, you know, to you. And you probably have heard of all the other, you know, I'm not going to mention any names, but lots of different other network marketing companies had come to us wanting us to join them. And we're like, no, no, no. I was like, I've worked too hard on my reputation for too long in this business, in this industry, in our community, to put my name behind one of those MLMs. And like, I was seriously skeptical about joining anything like that. And so I had always felt like if we gave our clients a good, solid, well-balanced nutritional plan, they were going to be fine. That was all they needed, right? And I didn't know what I didn't know, basically. And so I just felt so good that I was like, this stuff is amazing. I want to climb on top of the roof and shout it from the rooftops and get this into the hands of everybody I knew. It was Shakeology, obviously. And so about that same time, my husband and I had this talk. I just sat him down and I told him, you know, I was like 8 months pregnant. And I was like, I don't want to have to go back to work after the baby's born. My daughter had moved out by then. Fruit flies, sorry. So we had 3 little boys at home, and he was like, there's no way you cannot work right now. And I go, well, I can't, I don't want to. And at the time, what I was doing, I was working at our studio. So even though I was working for myself, I had to go in somewhere. I would have to get childcare for our kids, for our littlest one. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me anymore. So he goes, well, why don't you look into that Beachbody thing? You know, there's a business opportunity attached to that shake. He goes, Trina seems to be doing pretty well. So we had known Trina through the fitness world for years, just in the fitness industry, at conventions that we'd attended and masterminds that we were a part of. And so he was like, Trina seems to be doing pretty well. Why don't you look into the business part of it? And I was like, you know, fine, I'll do that. And it was kind of more of a, fine, I'll show you type of thing. I'm such an introvert. I'm like, this business is perfect for me to be home in my yoga pants and slippers. And so the thought of having something where I could stay home in my pajamas and work and stay home with my babies, I was like, I'll give this a try. And so at the time though, so my husband at the time wasn't even really working in the business. He just kind of joined as a way to give his clients like a nutritional product at the studio. And so I didn't really have an upline. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I knew that Trina was involved somewhere up here. I didn't know. So I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out first how to log in. I know I've got an office somewhere that I can log into, and there's got to be some information there I can figure out. So I literally spent, I dug my heels in, you guys. I got in my Coach Online office. I started watching videos and trainings and started watching YouTube videos. And I listened to every National Wake Up Call in the archives. And back then, that was 2013. So there weren't a ton of National Wake Up Calls in the archives. I don't know when they started those, but I was trying to just get, you know, immerse myself in all that I could and learn all that I could, because I did not want to go to work. And there was one video that I remember watching, and it was 4th of July that year. And so my baby was born in September. So I was pretty big. And the family was going down to the 4th of July parade. I was like, you go ahead, I'll meet you over there. I'm doing some training. And I was watching this Beachbody video called How to Earn. You guys might've seen it, with Michael Neiman. he's playing with the little action figures and Snooki, Superfly, whatever. And he's talking about your weak leg, or you've got to have 2 legs, and here's what emerald means, here's what diamond means, here's how much you can cap out at each week. And I just sat there like floored. And I just remember leaving and going to the 4th of July parade and met up with them. And I just sat down. I remember pulling my camp chair out of the bag, setting up my chair as I'm looking at him, and I go, there is some money to be made in this business, and I'm going to be the one making it. And that was it. That was it for me. And I just remember listening to these national wake up calls, hearing from people that resonated with me, even though I didn't have a clue what I was doing or where to get help. Or I remember hearing coaches like, if these names might ring a bell, depending on how long you've been in the business, like Brigitte Linford and Scotty Hobbs and Mindy Wender, Lindsay Matway, like people who had stories of depression, being an introvert, like being drowning in debt, coming from a small town, like all this stuff. And I just remember listening, thinking, when you hear somebody's story before Beachbody, pre-Beachbody, and the National Wake Up Call does such a good job at this, and then you see them now on stage and on the National Wake Up Call and talking about how Beachbody has changed their life, it is our opportunity to go, dang, she's just like me. Why not me? Like, I have access to every single thing that the number 1 top coach in this company has. There's nothing anybody's doing differently. We have our business activity tracker. We know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. It's just that they don't stop doing it. They don't let a setback hold them back and derail them. So I was like, well, shoot, if they can do it and I have all this training that I need, I can do this. And at that time, I got connected with our Team Rockstar Fit, because obviously I didn't have a smaller team. So it was Team Rockstar Fit. And that was the year, that summer, they were rolling out, it was called Rock the Basics at that time. And Kim and Devin, and I don't know who else, Joanna, you're nodding your head. Other people might remember. It was like a 4-month training. Basically, it took like a year to learn this business. It was funny. It was like, well, there's 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. And the person who invited me was like, hey, Shelly, we're rolling out this exclusive training. And you guys can note this language because it was good. And this is what I use to this day. I use this in my challenge group call to actions and coaching call to actions. It made it sound really exclusive. Like, we're rolling out this new training and I'm allowed to invite a handful of people that I think are going to take this seriously and that are really going to go all in and do the work and check in each day. And I think that you fit the bill. Is this something you can see yourself doing? It's going to be 30 days of training, and I'm going to help you through this, and you're going to grow by leaps and bounds. How's that sound? I was like, heck yeah, sign me up. And it turned out it was Rock the Basics. And there were some days where going through this training, I did learn a ton. And right now we have Rock the Business, which is condensed to 30 days. So it's all the same, it's condensed. But I remember some nights like going to bed and like laying there almost asleep and then jumping up and going, oh crap, I didn't do my homework for the day. I didn't do my lesson in Rock the Basics. So I would jump up and I would do my lesson. I also remember this person tagging me, and I'd be laying in bed scrolling before bed. I'd get a notification that I was being tagged on a post in that training that I didn't do. And I'm like, crap. And I would jump up and do it. And so what I'm trying to say is I took it seriously. So from the very beginning of my business, I was committed. I was all in. I knew what this business had to offer. And that is the first thing that we need to have, is that belief in this company, in our CEO. I don't know if you guys listen to Carl much, but he just rocks my world. He gave this incredible, he did it what was called his inner dialogue at leadership. And it was just amazing to know that we work for someone who just has such integrity and so firmly believes in this company that he's building. And he's like, I'm just getting started. And he's like, I won't be outworked. Like, I know the competition that's working. I know what they're working on, and I'm not going to be outdone. And we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg. So anyway, I had belief in the company and I believed in myself. And here's the thing though, When I got started working on my business, I didn't really know why. I knew that I wanted to stay home and I knew I needed to make some money. Um, I didn't know much about Beachbody, you guys. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know Tony Horton. Like I knew Tony, I'd heard of P90X. I didn't know that was Beachbody. I didn't even know what Shakeology was when I started drinking it. And I just knew that I could learn. And I knew that there were people who had gone before me who learned the same way I was going to learn. And some people who didn't have a sponsor, didn't have an upline. I've never had anybody put underneath me or, in my downline. I've built it all myself. And I just started with the same tools. But what I started with was belief. And there's an important reason that's the first lesson in Rock the Business. That's week one, belief. Believing in this company, believing in yourself that you can figure it out. We were drowning in debt. And when I say drowning, it's like it's not embarrassing anymore to talk about, but I can talk about it and be proud to have overcome that with Beachbody. But I quit answering my phone because it was always a debt collector. It was medical debt. When you don't pay medical debt, they don't fool around, or the IRS, they don't fool around. They get their money. And I remember one time being in the grocery store, and it had to be towards the end of the month. And I'm there after church. So I'm dressed up and I've got the baby in his car seat in the top of the grocery cart. And I'm at the checkout and I'd done like our whole week of grocery shopping and my card was declined. And super embarrassed. I had to tell the lady at the checkout, like, give me just a second. And I stepped aside and I pulled up my app on my phone and I look at my account and it's like negative $1,200. Well, the IRS like overnight came in and just took, like, we were just so far behind. And so that was like supposed to be my mortgage for the next month and our groceries. And it was like digging out of this hole. I mean, I like to say we weren't even living paycheck to paycheck because the paycheck that came in didn't even bring us back up to zero, right? So we were always in the red. It was horrible. So any little bit that I had coming in from Beachbody, in the beginning, it wasn't even like, cool, I just earned $100. It was like, cool, I got us up closer to zero, closer to even. It was so bad. My marriage I stayed way too long. I was with him for 16 years. It was toxic from the beginning. And now, of course, looking back, I see all those red flags. But at the time I was like, we can do this. We're going to pray a lot. We're going to go to counseling. We're going to go on getaways. We're going to go to Hawaii. And none of that ever worked. Because later, only once I was going through my divorce is when I realized that he was a narcissist. And I didn't know what that meant because I'd heard the word thrown around a lot. And I heard, until I actually looked it up in the dictionary, because a friend of mine was going through a divorce and she told me that her husband was a narcissist and I knew him. And I was like, no, he's not. He's an awesome guy. Like, we love him. My kids love him. And so I'm like, maybe I don't know what that means. And so I looked it up. I was like, my husband is a narcissist. No wonder this cannot be fixed. And it is not me. Like, I've done everything I can. And you get to a point where you can't do anything about it if the person's not willing to change. And that was hard because I'm a woman of faith and I didn't want to believe that it couldn't be fixed with prayer and with God and counseling. And so anyway, it was horrible. And so through Beachbody, I mean, being able to leave that is such a huge part of my story. Although I don't speak about it a lot on social media. Like, I don't condone divorce and I don't want to talk about like, it allowed me to leave my marriage. I don't talk about it like that, but I talk about what Beachbody has done for me in terms of giving me choices financially and being in the position where, not just financially, that was huge. I was able to retain an attorney. I was able to save enough money where I could leave and I could put down the deposit and the first month's rent on this 3-bedroom townhome to take my boys and go. But also without Beachbody, without my team, without having been through my personal development journey and having the courage and believing in myself and believing in my worth, there's no way I would have been able to make that decision to leave. And so I sit here today, my life having done a complete 180, and none of it would have been possible without coaching. when I started my first challenge group, I was pregnant myself. And so I wasn't doing the programs. I could barely get myself out of bed. I was walking for exercise. Like I said, I was walking the track at my son's football practice. I was listening to National Wake Up Call podcasts. So I was not doing the workouts. And so I remember people checking into my challenge group talking about, I just did T25, beta, gamma 2.0 or whatever. And I'm like, good job. I had no clue what they were talking about. But again, what I knew was that Shanti was the bomb. What I knew was that Beachbody puts out world-class fitness programs better than anything I could even program for my clients. So I felt confident giving them a Beachbody program to do, even when I was no longer training them in the studio. And so that, I mean, you guys, just that just speaks to, you know, not needing to know everything about the business before you get started. Just knowing, like, believe in this company and that it's not going to steer you wrong, and you're going to be okay. So what all changed? When I started working my business, I really decided to go 2 feet in. I was 100% committed. I set goals. I got a success partner. Lindsay Thompson was my success buddy forever. Love that girl. And we set big goals and hit big goals together. And so the power of having somebody that you're accountable to each week is huge. Not just checking in, but we would literally set our goals. We would set our goals. We would have our weekly call. We would get on the phone and be like, hey, you said you were going to do this. Did you do that? You said you were going to invite 5 people to coaching this week. Did you do that? Like, very tangible goals. So that was very important. And that was a big part. And we both set our goal to hit elite in 2015. And so by the end of my second year in business, I hit elite, and I was super proud of myself. I was on top of the world. I was never somebody who did big things. I got pregnant after my freshman year of college and dropped out, never went back. This is my 3rd marriage, but my last 2. I got good grades in school. You know, I was a good student and all that, but my mom was a single mom. There were 4 of us. She was never home. She had to work a lot to support us. And I came from this teeny little itty bitty ghost town in Arizona where everybody stays and gets pregnant, or, you know, and they stay and they work at the Pizza Hut, or they, it was like, I didn't think that my life was destined for big things. And then I found Beachbody, and I found myself, and I deepened my faith. And that's a huge part of my journey. So by the end of 2015, when I hit elite that I'd been striving for, I felt on top of the world. And that was back when, it's not like this anymore, but it was back when you had until the end of the year, you had to qualify and hold it at the end of the year for 6 weeks. Like today, you could hit elite in February if you had the points and the people and the diamonds, and that would hold your elite for the next year. But back then it was like you had to work throughout the whole year, and then you could qualify at the end of the year. And so what happened was, this is the honest to goodness truth, January 1st of 2016, I woke up and I literally was like, okay, what now? What is that? What does all this mean? I remember the sacrifices. I remember the time. I remember the things I gave up, which is all necessary and important, you know, to decide what you're willing to give up in order to see the success that you want. Absolutely. But I didn't have any boundaries. I was glued to my phone. I was the mom that I remember being at my kids' soccer game on my phone working, and I hear the crowd cheering, and I look up, and it was my kid that had scored the goal, and I missed it because I was following up with somebody. And it's things like that that I look back and I didn't know why I was striving so hard to earn this title of elite. It was fun. I got cool prizes. I got to register early for trips. You know, they did like fancy things on the Success Club trips. They would go to your room early and, you know, lay your gifts on your bed, and you got the embroidered jacket and all that stuff. And I don't want to discourage anybody from aiming for big goals, but what we'll talk about next is determining why you're doing that. I feel like I was doing it just to prove my husband wrong, to prove to people, maybe my family, that I was worth something, that I was worthy of more than the rest of my friends, my high school classmates, or people I grew up with, the things that they were doing with their life, like that I could become something. I really didn't know why. I just remember thinking, I'm going to do this by, you know, whatever it takes, I'm going to make this happen. And so when I hit it, it was bittersweet. And so I took my foot off the gas, because it was one of those things. It was like, whew, I did it. I worked so hard. I made it. I can say that I did that. And I took my foot off the gas. So through all of 2016, and I remember talking with Lindsay about it too. And we were both kind of like, okay, well, what now? It was almost like a burnout. And I really had to figure out what the heck I was going to do with my business and what was important and what my new goals were, because aside from hitting like superstar diamond, like elite is like one of those things that you go, I did it. Like I did what Beachbody says is important in this business. So what now? So taking my foot off the gas, also 2016, you guys, was the year that I filed for divorce. Thank goodness. Finally. So 2016 was a year of coming to terms with the fact that I needed to get out of this relationship. And that was a huge year of just growth. I mean, I went to High Performance Academy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, with Brendan Burchard. I went in the spring of 2016, and it was my like second or third time that I had gone. I absolutely loved it. I wish they were doing live events. We've missed so much this year, but it was just huge. And it was my friend Ashley Mahaffey. You guys may know her. I stayed with her, and she at that time, it's funny because I stayed with her previously when I went to HPA the time before that, and we'd been talking about it and talking about my marriage and everything. And so when I went back again and stayed with her the spring of 2016, she's like, Shelly, what are you waiting for? You've been talking about this. Is it getting any better? I'm like, no, it's worse. She's like, you need to rip the Band-Aid off. And if you know Ashley, you know that that's just how she works. She's like straight to the point. You need to pull the Band-Aid off. I was like, gosh, you make it sound so simple. But I knew that that's what I needed to do. And so by the end of 2016, I hired an attorney, I served him divorce papers, and we ended up living together for another year after I served him papers. And so if you've been in a toxic relationship or dealt with verbal abuse in a relationship like that, where you're kind of stuck and then you have to stay, because he wouldn't leave and I wouldn't leave. And so it was another year of that. And so needless to say, it was all I could do to keep my head above water and just take care of myself and try and just figure out my own life. And so finally, October of 2017, I moved into this place. I was on my own. I was a single mom. I was dealing with my 3 boys, and trying to adjust to single mom life. Again, foot was off the gas, but I want to note, it's important to note that I never quit working my business. I ran a challenge group every single month, no matter what. I didn't necessarily hit Success Club every single month, but I ran a challenge group because I was the ultimate challenger. I wasn't sponsoring new coaches. I wasn't leading my team, but I needed the fitness and the community as much as my challengers did. So that is something that I never quit doing. I was always there. I was always in the trenches with them. And so, oh my Sorry, all these buzzers and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so a short while later, I'm going to condense this a little bit. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, halfway through my divorce, while still living with my my husband at the time, I was diagnosed with cancer myself. And so I'm living with him. And there was a point where I'd received this Facebook message from this woman. And it was weird. She was like, I know that we don't know each other, but I really have to let you know, I was watching one of your live videos. I'm a nurse. I'm wondering if you've ever had your thyroid checked. I was like, what is she talking about? And she was like, looks like you have a lump in your throat. So I Googled how to check your thyroid. It said, take a cup of water to a mirror and chug some water and watch your throat as you swallow. And so that's what I did. And I saw this huge lump and I was scared, but I was like, well, maybe that's just my Adam's apple. I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to look like. But I knew, when you know, and you just are like trying to talk your way around it, but I knew. So made an appointment. Long story short, over the matter of a few months, I had the exam and then I had the ultrasound and then finally the biopsy that confirmed that it was thyroid cancer. And so despite having to tell my kids that their dad and I were divorcing, like I think telling them that I had cancer was probably the hardest thing that I ever had to do. And at the same time, living with this man that, I'm like, I don't want to have to rely on him to take care of me. It was just a shit show, basically. 2017 was the hardest year of my life. Once I got out and moved out on my own and my mom was diagnosed with cancer, I moved her up here and she lived with me. And so I took care of my terminally ill mom. So there was a large part of my life, about 3 years, that I was no longer putting my foot on the gas of my business. But like I said, I never considered leaving Beachbody. I was always working in some way, but I met my husband. I'll skip right ahead to that because that was a pivotal part of my life. Being a single mom for a year with my boys and trying to just figure out life and figure out what I wanted to do. And I remember at one point during that time, I was on a call and Trina said, she goes, it feels icky to be 1 foot in. I was like, you're right. It feels icky because you never feel like you know what your potential is, you know what you're capable of, but you're not doing it. And that's an icky feeling. It's very unsettling to feel halfway in, being from where I had come in my business and knowing what I was capable of doing and what I had achieved before. And now I'm like, what am I waiting for? Am I going to do this or not? And so when I met my husband, he's the most incredible, beautiful, supportive, loving, most godly man on the face of the earth who lifts me up and affirms me, and he's my biggest cheerleader and supporter. And he doesn't just cook the dinner so I can come up and get on a team call. Like he's putting together my weekly newsletters and he's like coaching me, and that's what he does. He's a business strategy consultant and social media strategist. And so like, thank you, God. It was like divine intervention. And when I met him, he was wanting to work more on his nutrition and start lifting weights. And the previous couple years before we met, he had lost 100 pounds. And his path was like, he was going down we were on parallel paths, both working through personal stuff and going through divorces and going through our spiritual journeys were deepening, physically, just working on the same things. And I had my heart broken. I was dating and had my heart broken. And I was like, God, this is it. Like, take this desire out of me. Like I'm striving to have this man in my life. And it's just like going on all these dates and it's no fun anymore. I wasn't having any fun dating. And finally met somebody that I thought was the one. And he broke my heart via text. I know. And so I was like, I remember being on my knees in my bedroom, just crying out to God, like, take this need this desire from me that I feel so like empty. Like, why can't you just be enough? Why am I not allowing you to just be enough for me? Like, please just be enough and let me feel okay with this. And I said, I'm done. Like, I'm just focusing on you, like laser focusing on you, God. And wouldn't you know it? I said, but I'm not closing my heart. My heart is still open if you've got my man out there. And so, crazy, because he did. And I just needed to trust him. And I wasn't trusting him before. I was working on my own strength, trying to find the right guy. And my friends were always like, my best friends were like, get off those apps. That's ridiculous, Shelly. God's got your man. You just need to be patient. You need to trust him. And so I did. And I got off the apps and I met my man at church, the same church I had been at for like 8 years and he had been at for 10 years, and we never saw each other. And it's not a big church. And so God was like, here you go. Because I was ready, because I released that need, and he was like, okay, you're ready. Like, here he is. And it's just incredible, you guys. So having the support system, it took my business to the next level. So December 31st of 2019, I said, okay, I'm going 2 feet in. I'm tired of this. I have the support now. And we'd been dating. We weren't married. But he was just already, it was like emotionally, I felt supported. I felt so strong. I just felt ready and able to do this. And so I sent an email to my whole downline, December 31st. It was New Year's Eve. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm going all in. Sent out this email. Hey guys, remember me? Which was very humbling because yeah, they knew me and they're probably thinking, oh, where's she been? They knew where I'd been. I'd been, in communication with my leaders, and a lot of my leaders had gone off and were very strong leaders and had their own teams and were doing awesome. And so I thought, well, I'm going to send out this email because I don't know if anybody slipped through the cracks, and if there are people whose maybe sponsor has pulled back that I don't know about, and there's going to be people that want to go. And so I was just like, it was like roll call. It was like, here's where I am. Here's what's been going on. Here's where I'm going. Who wants to go with me? And, oh, I think I just saw a dog in my backyard. We don't have a dog. And so a handful of people responded, just a handful, you guys. I mean, I was so out of the loop that it was like embarrassing. Like, who wants to do this? And a handful of people responded. I'm like, let's go. And literally a few people. And so what we did, we just started a Facebook thread. And one of the things that I remember hearing too was, it was Brendan Burchard. I love him. He said, most people aren't afraid to start. It's that they're embarrassed to be seen starting small. I was like, yeah, right?
That's so good. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, he said, most people aren't scared to start. They're embarrassed to be seen starting small. So to come back from an elite coach on top of the world, I did all this, got all these accolades, to be like, okay, well, here I am again. Who's ready to go? Who's ready for round 2? It was very humbling. But along the way, the biggest piece for me was my walk with the Lord. It was realizing that it was like through my divorce, through my cancer, it was like, okay, obviously this stuff is way too big for me. I can't do this on my own. And when you're faced with losing your family breaking apart, and losing your health and not knowing what your future holds, and losing your home and everything that you've ever known to be true, I had nowhere else to go. And I knew that I needed to go to God. And it's true. They say, the hardest times, the deepest valleys that people go through, they're either going to turn from him or they're going to cling to him. And I clung to him for dear life. And so a large part of it was like letting go of this world. And my business was this world. And you guys, I'd built the foundation in my business. So I was able to pull back a little bit. We all go through seasons, you guys. We all go through seasons. I'm not proud that I took my foot way off the gas, but I was in a position where I was okay. I was okay financially. And I just dove in. I got through my cancer. I was okay. And so I call myself not a cancer survivor, but a cancer thriver, because I came out of this and it was my opportunity to look at my life and all that God had brought me through, and to go, there is a reason that 4 years ago when I started this coaching business that I've built this platform. Beachbody gives us a platform, you guys. Like, I had built this platform. I had people who knew me, liked me, and trusted me. And to be able to have this community of these relationships with people where all of a sudden they're seeing me go through all this stuff. This was my opportunity to step in and say, it's all God. It was my opportunity to just give him the glory for taking me through the hardest time of my life. And that's how I saw it. I saw it as an opportunity. I didn't see it as a woe is me, look at my life falling apart. It was like, I'm clinging to him, and I'm trusting in Jesus, and I'm going to shout Jesus from the rooftops. And it's not about me anymore. It's not about my business. It's about, what do you want me to do with my life and with this message now? And I just remember certain Bible verses sticking out to me as I was going through this, and just about trusting and being strong and courageous. I mean, I think the Bible says that a bazillion times, to be strong and courageous and just trust. And it was so much bigger than me that I had no choice. I had no choice. And so when I decided to go all in again on my business, I was a different person. You know, we can get so caught up in the hype and the rank and the titles and the number of months at this and that. And so what I told Devin was, you know, giving her my stats for this call. Yeah, I was an elite coach. Yeah, I was a Success Club legend, which 24 consecutive months at Success Club, right? But that came to a halt quickly when life happened. And so I wanted to share that. That's an important piece to let you guys know, like, you can appear like, you know, you're on top of the world with this business, but I realized I was striving for the wrong things. It didn't mean anything to me because I didn't know who I was or why I was doing this. Now, today, to be able to say, I'm going for this goal in my business, I pray, you guys, every morning, my husband and I, I get out of bed and I do my morning miracle hour, and then we get back in bed and he does his. He's a 10,000 step a dayer. This will be 2 years in November is his 2-year mark of 10,000 steps a day. He goes out and does his steps. I go downstairs and I do my miracle morning, and then we come back together. We get back in bed and we snuggle and we read the Bible and we pray, and we spend like half an hour doing that. And then we get on with our day. And, you know, that's why we're together. God brought us together, and we truly believe that he brought us together for a bigger purpose than just to be husband and wife to each other. It was to serve this world in some way. And so we pray every day. We pray for our friends and family. And we also pray for our marriage. We surrender our marriage to him every day. We surrender our business. We pray that he brings the right people in front of us who need the message that we're sending out every day, that he brings the people to us who need our health and fitness help, who are looking for a new opportunity to make some money, to stay home with their kids. You know, it has taken so much pressure off of me to be like, okay, God, this is all you. I'm doing this for your glory. And so to get up and to send out invitations, it doesn't faze me anymore. To invite people to coaching, it doesn't faze me, because I know that I'm doing it because I'm inviting people to something so much bigger than just to join me or just to join my team. When I really shifted my message and I share more openly about my faith now on social media, and that was hard for me before, but it's not anymore, to be open about it. So because I want that woman who resonates with me to join me. If you don't vibe with that, you're not my people. And I'm okay with that, because there's 8 billion people on this planet. So if you love Jesus and fitness, you're my people. And if you don't, cool. I mean, you might not fit with us. And that's okay, because it feels so much better to be doing it what feels right to me this time around. And so in closing, what I did at the beginning of the year was I truly rebranded myself. I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of thinking like, okay, if I'm going to do this, what does that mean this time around? And what it meant was, there was a scripture verse that stuck out to me when I thought about what do I want to represent? How do I want to go out into the world each day and present myself? what do I want people to know that they're joining? And the verse was Isaiah 60, verse 1. And it is, arise, let your light shine. The glory of the Lord is upon you. And there was something about that rise and shine. It wasn't just rise, but it was shine. It was, I want to feel like I've got rays of sunshine coming from my eyes. I want people to feel like it comes from my smile. I want people to feel excited and happy and knowing what they're joining and knowing that not only that I'm embodying that, but when you join us, we're going to help you shine. I want you to feel that responsibility to shine your light as well. That's what I want our team to be known for. And so I changed our team name. We are the Shine Sisters. I am having a logo made. I mean, it's this whole thing around my new vision, my new purpose. And so in doing that, and just, I sent out that email at the beginning of the year. I know how to work this business, you guys, right? You guys all know it's a simple business. Have you heard that? This business is simple, but it's not easy. It's simple. We have our tracker. We know exactly what to do every day, but there's those little pieces in there that might be hard for you. That little part about actually sending out personal invites, that might be hard for you. There's those little parts in there that trip us up. The business is not hard. And so anyway, so getting started fresh this year, what I did was I not only just rebranded my team and what my focus was, but I got real. I actually set up an office space in my house. This is my office. The other half is my bedroom. It's a mess, so you can't see it, but it's a huge bedroom. So literally my husband, who's, before he was even my husband, he's like, let's go to IKEA. He helped me get a desk, lamps, bookshelf. I mean, he's always got fresh flowers for me. Like, they don't die before the next bouquet comes. I'm serious, you guys. It's beautiful. And I mean, I sit here and he brings me my coffee with a love note. It's like, it's not all, roses and rainbows. Okay, I'll tell you that much for sure, because we are a blended family. He came in with my three young boys, and so it's been hard. But we know that God brought us together, and we know that we have a bigger purpose than just being husband and wife to each other. And so having that as the foundation of our relationship, we can do anything, because I know that I can trust him to lead me, because he's letting God lead him. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So this year, just getting started with a couple girls, I started a new team page, like brand new. It's like I was a brand new coach, you guys. And there were a couple of us that started. And then we started picking up some girls from the downline whose sponsors had pulled away. And so there's more of us, and there's more of us joining every day. But this year, after like starting over this year, I've averaged, I wrote it down, because what I'm realizing that as a CEO of our business, we have to know our numbers. And I'm getting ready to speak on Wednesday on the Diamond Call. And I know Trina's going to ask me numbers, and I have never been good about like numbers. I've always just been like, okay, I know that I need to do this. And I'm an Enneagram 9. I'm like totally into Enneagram right now. Are you guys into your Enneagrams? So Enneagram 9 is like super chill, go with the flow, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm cool with whatever you want to do. Don't ask me my opinion. I'm cool with whatever. And so translating that into business does not work very well. I wish I had more 3s. I know that there are some 3s on here, because 3s do really well in this business. I'm a 9, which is like the golden retriever of Enneagrams. But I wrote down my numbers. So in 2020, I've averaged 20 Success Club points a month. And I've sponsored 3.2 coaches a month. I don't know how you get the 0.2, but
that's great. Wow.
Thank you. And, I feel weird even saying that. I don't want to, I feel like it's important to know that coming back from a setback and reigniting your passion for your business, when you do the work that we know that we all know to do, it works. And so reigniting my passion meant figuring out the right way to do it when I had to decide that I was ready to go all in. And a big piece of that, you guys, was setting boundaries around my business. I was not good at that before. Because we have our phone in our pocket 24/7, it is so dang easy to be on that thing. And when you're so focused on the numbers and the people and the all, it's all numbers. And that's how Beachbody tells us, like, when you have hit Success Club 5, then you're good, you hit it for the month. And that's all important. And I don't want to get that, I don't want that to sound like I'm downplaying that. That's how we gauge our business. But having boundaries in my business for what my business hours was a huge part of that. Especially now since March with virtual schooling, it's really hard. I've got 3 boys at home, a senior in high school, a 6th grader, and a 1st grader. So it's madness. It is madness. And so when they are kind of settled in the morning, I come up here and I get to work and I get on one of the power hours. You guys all know the power hours that Trina put up, where you can get on live with a top leader in Beachbody. I get on one of those. Most days of the week. I host my own for my team on Tuesday, and then another girl for our team hosts one on Thursday for our team. So I get on those. And my husband and I work on an app. It's called Family Wall, where we each put in our own meetings and calls that we have, because he works from home as well. So he's on the phone and on Zooms a lot. And so we have to communicate with each other, and that's what we do. And we'll say, okay, let's look at this ahead of time. Let's look at it on a Sunday and look at what you have scheduled, or at least the night before. Let's look what you have the next day. So we can say, okay, let's tag team here, and I'll do dinner tonight while you have this call. And we have to communicate. And in the past, I've let my business consume me, and I would work all hours of the night. I would get in bed and work. I would work when I was supposed to be watching a movie with my family or supposed to be at a sporting event. And I don't do that anymore. I just feel this peace about my business, and it feels really, really good. Let's see. What else did I do? I, a big piece of maybe being, I didn't know if it was necessarily like my faith, or, there was this conflict between wanting to be successful, but not wanting to strive for things of this world. Because, for me, nothing matters in this world if I'm incongruent with my faith. So nothing matters in this world. None of these achievements matter. I can't take them with me when I go. And if they cost me my family, my integrity, my whatever, it means nothing to me. So balancing wanting to be successful. I'm not like a stuff kind of person. My husband and I were talking about this. I'm not like a stuff. Like, I don't want the coolest this or that, or the latest this or purse or vehicle or anything. I would rather go on vacation. Like, I want experiences. And so understanding what I'm working towards and financially what that means. And when I think about, like, I do my affirmations in the morning, and I think about, why do I want a big house? Why is that important to me? And it's important to me because I see a big house filled with people for fellowship and for small groups and for potlucks and for people, for my friends to bring their kids, and to have barbecues and to have a big game room downstairs where they can all go and play pool or play foosball or whatever, play darts. And just a place to just love people and bring people together. And I think about, having a big vehicle so that my kids can bring, I think the more that that my kids can bring their friends to my house, the more influence I can have over them. And I feel like this home, like we pray every day, let this home be a place that's filled with the Holy Spirit and filled with peace and love and joy and happiness and kindness and love. And did I already say love? Lots of love, because my last home did not have that. And so I want my kids to know the peace and the love and the joy that comes from a happy home and a happy mom and dad. And having boundaries in place for my business is super important to that. My son, I just got back from this leadership weekend, and my 13-year-old, I said, I hope you're always going to be like this, right? You promise? Because he's like lovey and huggy and kissy. He's like, Mom, you're just such an awesome mom. I was like, oh, why do you say that? And he goes, you're just, I don't know. You're just a good mom. Couldn't really verbalize it, but I said, I really, that's important to me, because it's important to me that, I didn't want to say when I'm dead, but it's important to me that you know later when when you get older, that you know how much I loved you, and that you're my reason for doing everything, and that you're my reason for being here and working from home so that I can be here with you guys. And you're the reason I do everything. And uh, being with you guys and having time with you is what's most important to me more than anything in the whole world. And I appreciate you saying that. Like they don't get that on the other side when they go to their dad's house. And it's really sad. And so I feel an obligation to be that other half where they can feel inspired and lifted up. And it's not just with my family. It's like coaching my coaches now has just taken on such a whole new meaning. It's not pushing them, it's empowering them. It's not setting goals and deadlines for them. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? And what's realistic for you to do right now with your life, this season of your life? And how can I best support you in that? So when you ask me what my new goals are, I'm not going to say it's to be an elite coach. I'm not going to say I want to be 5-star again. I'm at 2-star now. And that's just because, I don't even know. I got my second business center back to diamond. And one of my coaches has just always been diamond. So I'm 2-star, and that's awesome. And yes, I'd love to make more money, but checking my motives for that has been huge. But I also want to say Ashley's been such a huge mentor for me, and she'll always ask me, Shelly, what are your goals? You need to set your goals. And I'm just like, well, my strong leg is really strong, so I just really need to build my weak leg. And she's like, no, how does that translate to a vision for your team? They don't care what your volume is. How does that translate? They want to follow somebody who's going somewhere. What is your vision for your team? What can you get them on board with? And so I'm still working on that. She goes, well, how about just like an amount of diamonds in your downline that you want to focus on? So it's not just about like, I don't ever want to push anybody. And I know that that's going to make it hard for me as I continue to grow, but it feels better for me. I'm never going to feel like, right. But I'm learning, you guys. I understand that to be a good leader, people need to be challenged. People need to, they need you to not push them, but challenge them. And it can get uncomfortable as a leader because you need to say things sometimes that people need to hear, and and so it's all a process. I'm growing every single day in my leadership, and I understand it's a process, and I'm never going to say that I got there. It's a journey, and I love my team. I want to know them. I want to know their families. I want to empower them. I want them to shine, and I want them to feel loved, and to know that I can help them get there. But I'm not one to say this is our goal for our team by this date. We just talked about having a diamond challenge by the end of 2020. We'll do that diamond challenge for coaches to hit by the end of 2020. And I'll never downplay the fact that, 2-star is important. Diamond is important to increase your income. 2-star is really important. Absolutely. And so we don't stop at diamond. We talk about 2-star. We talk about, diamond. I don't remember seeing a huge increase in pay when I hit diamond. I remember, again, sitting there going, this is it? Like, okay, well, here I am now. So what now? So it is important to keep growing, but it's just a different focus for me now.
Love it. Shelly, you are incredible. Like, we knew that, but now we know that,
Thanks.
I mean, I think, so you said people need to be challenged but not pushed. I love that. But also I think a key part of that is that they also need to be inspired, and your leadership style is so inspiring. So that's huge. Do you guys have any questions for Shelly? Don't you want to just listen to her talk forever? Like, tell me more about your life.
Shelly, thank you so much. Like, you're speaking a lot to exactly how I want to lead my team. So I'll be sending this recording to my other personally sponsored coaches. Like, I really, really resonate how you lead with like purpose and authenticism, and you have a reason behind everything. It's awesome. I mean, abundance flows where the heart goes, right? So you're doing it all right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's so true. What is your favorite PD?
My favorite, before I even started coaching, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Right here. Speaking of that, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Nice.
It was something that, it's something that I'll have my kids read. It's just like every human needs to read this book. It is so good. It's just how to be a human out in this crazy world. Oh, yeah, it's really, really good. And then once I started coaching, I'm going to say favorite so far is You Are a Badass. That book got me when I needed it. You know, you either vibed with it or you didn't. And I was at the point in my life where when I read that, it hit me. It was like, as I was getting ready to go through my divorce, it was like, I can freaking do this. And also, there's enough success, there's enough money, there's enough everything in this world for everybody. And it changed from a scarcity mindset that I grew up with because we were broke, we were poor, to an abundant mindset and knowing that I was in the driver's seat.
That's awesome. Guys, any other questions for Shelly? I took so many notes. I want to ask you, so you said, I didn't think my life was destined for big things, and I found this team and I found myself, and I was like, I feel like that too. Is there a part of you when you go home to your hometown where you're like, look at me now?
I don't go there often at all. But this is going to sound bad. I just know, you know, still being friends with a lot of people from high school, I know there wasn't anything for me there. There's nothing for anybody there. So if you stayed there, you're not doing much of anything. And, you know, titles aren't important. Whatever I was making wasn't important. But if I was making $100 a week with Beachbody, I'm just like, this work I'm doing is so purposeful. I feel so fulfilled. I'm actually aligning with my purpose. And I believe that this is what I was put here for, to love people and encourage people and help people. And so it just feels really good. That's not to say that people that came from my hometown or are still there are not doing anything good, but it was a teeny tiny town and there wasn't much for anybody there.
Yeah, but you're just such a success story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is I have so many people on my team now who are from my high school and clients from there. And I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to be like, you know, somebody that people can look up to that came from the same place. And yeah, it's really fun. It's super fun because it was such a small town and it was just, yeah, lots of good friends from there.
That's awesome. Anybody else have any questions for Shelly? I can't wait to, I have a couple of people, like Joanna said, I want to share this recording like right away. Right away. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So good to hear your story. I mean, I knew bits and pieces, but the whole thing is just incredible. And like, I'm so happy you got your happy ending. And it's like, it's actually like like you're reborn. It's like a new beginning for you. It's so crazy.
Absolutely.
So
It's
I'm
like
just so happy for you.
Yeah. Can I take a picture before we go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.